In my last video, we talked about staying in a different room than your child's normal room, something that you would do if you were away on vacation, because doing something out of the ordinary can be very challenging for anyone, and in particular, a child that is on the spectrum, because they are so used to a rigid routine, and sometimes it's hard to break out of this. Now, another thing that we see a lot with individuals with autism is that 90% of children with autism have some type of sensory abnormality. So this is seen in the form of oversensitivity, which we see a lot with sound, which is why I recommend in one of the last few videos, the loop headphones to block out some of the different frequencies, or noise canceling headphones because the sound can be overwhelming, or an oversensitivity to lights or heat or cold, or so many different things that we see an oversensitivity to. We also see it in the form of unresponsiveness. So sometimes things that might, to some people, be very hard to handle, like let's say, for example, I go to Zumba, and if I have to get to a part where I have to do a spin, just count me out for the next 10 seconds because I have to catch my balance. But some of my students can spin around in a circle 100 times and it's still not enough. So that's unresponsive or under-responsive to something that might otherwise make somebody dizzy. And another thing is just sensory seeking behaviors, they're seeking a sensory input. So there are a lot of different things, and I will be having an interview with someone who's an occupational therapist that has a lot of different tips to help fill these needs or meet these needs. But one thing that I wanted to say is a lot of these vacations that we're talking about are in tropical places and going to the beach. And although it appears that many children on the spectrum do enjoy water, and there are some things behind that, but if you're bringing your child to a beach and they don't like getting wet, and they don't like the feeling of sand, and they don't like the extreme heat, or if the water's cold, or whatever the case is, whatever the sensory challenge might be for them, the best way to handle this is exposure. So I would suggest slow and constant exposure. And you could do this by taking them to a beach more during the summertime, little by little, for little spurts at a time, or start having them play with different textures of sand, different types of water, and just giving them the exposure. Because with anything, just giving them exposure, and slow, steady exposure and constant will make things a lot easier. So consider this before you go on your next vacation. I hope that was helpful.